am the fastest man alive. My name is Barry Allen. I am the Flash.
Welcome to DC FANDOME. I'm Chancellor Agard from Entertainment Weekly, and this is the Flash panel. Joining me today, we have Grant Gustin, who plays the Scarlet Speedster himself, the Flash, aka Barry Allen. Candace Patton, who plays reporter extraordinaire Iris West Allen. Daniel Tannebaker, who pulls double duty as both Caitlin Snow and Frost. Carlos Valdez, who plays the ever-quotable mechanical engineer, Cisco Ramon. Daniel Nicolay, who plays meta attorney Cecile Horton. Brandon McKnight, who plays enthusiastic scientist Chester P. Runk. And Kayla Compton, who plays Central City citizen intern Allegra Garcia. Also, we have showrunner and executive producer Eric Wallace. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Before we talk about season 7, I do want to go back through season 6, which I think was a really unique year for the show. Because Eric, you came into the season, you decided to split the season into 2 parts. Looking back on it now, how successful do you feel that was? How effective was that?
I thought it was really successful. It gave a new energy, I think, to the season. In the first half with Bloodwork, we were able to really drill down on Barry's story and on dealing with crisis. Vice versa, in the back half, we're able to really drill into Iris's character and Team Citizen and Eva's story. And then we'll see at the top of season 7 how it all comes together as well.
And for the cast, especially the ones who've been here since season 1, in the moment, could you feel something different about the show and how it was structured?
I loved it. I was a big fan of it. I'm really glad that we got to, it gives the opportunity to really flesh out those villains a little bit more and not spread them out so much that you feel like you're sort of filling in episodes to get to the end.
Yeah, I think a show needs to change in order to grow.
Yeah, I think as an actor too, it prevents fatigue throughout the season. 22 episodes is a long time, 9 months. And I think for us having this kind of break in the season where a new sort of storyline emerges kind of puts us in a headspace of, feeling reinvigorated with the work. So yeah, it makes the season a bit easier to swallow altogether. As
Eric mentioned, the first half of the season was very much about sort of Barry's walk up to crisis and him dealing with his mortality.
I don't know how you're doing this. Real or not, I'm coming for you.
And yet, I'm not your foremost concern, am I? Not as much as your inevitable demise in a coming crisis? Goodness, you really are full of surprises, aren't you? So tell me, when you saw all those permutations, billions of possible futures all ending in your death, what role did I play?
Grant, for you, what was it like sort of dig into Barry in that way in the first half of the season, especially with episodes like The Last Temptation of Barry Allen?
That episode in particular, I've said it a few times since we finished it, but that was a really special episode to me. And I think it really was a good episode to show just kind of the culmination of all of his emotions and the conflict kind of boiling over. I just felt really lucky with all the material they gave me in The Last Temptation of Barry Allen, especially in part 1. It was different than anything I think we've done and anything I've done on the show, and I had a great time with it.
Did you find that episode particularly challenging?
Oh yeah, and it was a special episode, but it was definitely super challenging. But visually, I thought they did a great job. Everyone was really proud of it. It was tough, but it was fun.
And on the flip side, we dug a lot more into Iris as a journalist. For you, Candace, what was it like to sort of explore that side of Iris in more detail?
It was a long time coming. I think we've kind of teased Iris being this ace reporter since season 1. It's always kind of been put on the back burner. So it was a nice treat to finally have it be at the forefront of her character arc for the season. It's such a male-dominated cast. I love these guys, but having more women and having this kind of Charlie's Angels sort of, you know, reporter team, it was really cool. It brought a new energy to the show, and I hope we carry on with that in the next season.
I do want to dig more into that because a couple fans had some Team Citizen questions that we'll get to towards the end. In this season, I guess, did you feel like you discovered something new about Iris through this material?
She has this conversation with Barry as Mirror Iris, but I think it's very indicative of how real Iris truly feels, which is that, you know, she can't always be, you know, the victim, and she's not always looking to be saved, and that she has to go out there and kind of have her own agency and do her own thing. And I think it was, you know, words that came through Mirror Iris, but it's very true of real Iris needing to have her own agency and her own life and her own mission. And so that to me was kind of the spark of Iris kind of taking over her own life and, you know, still loving Barry and still wanting this deep, meaningful relationship, but kind of separating in a way and saying, I have to do my own thing. I have to chase after villains. I have to chase after stories, no matter how dangerous it is. You put your life on the line to protect your city. And so I feel like I should have the right to do that as well, with superpowers or without. I was following up on a lead. So, there.
And you were following a lead in the middle of the night? I mean, something could have happened to you.
That, Barry, that right there, that's why I didn't tell you. I don't need you to save me. I can handle myself.
How did you sort of make sense or separate in your mind Iris and Mirror Iris when you were playing them?
Iris and Mirror Iris, we wanted it to feel like we didn't know who was who. We wanted the audience to believe that Iris and Mirror Iris were almost identical. And as this season kind of progressed, we see these kind of chipping away of Mirror Iris becoming more and more sinister and evil and kind of being taken over more and more from Eva. So a lot of it came in the script of just letting the scripts progress and letting Mirror Iris become more and more sinister.
That's episode 611, Love is a Battlefield, in
There it
which
goes.
Oh yeah.
Iris gets to break a bottle over a dude's head. How awesome was that?
So fun, yes.
It was super fun.
I mean, that really culminated in the Barry versus Mirror Iris fight, which is something we've never seen those two characters do, or in a situation like that with each other. When you guys first joined the show, did you guys ever think that you'd get to do something, do like a fight scene like that together?
Oh.
I just assumed I'd always play this kind of, you know, straight edge reporter. And so for me to ever get powers and then to have a dual personality and get to fight, I mean, it's all dream comes true kind of stuff. You know, for 6 years, I think any actor is always looking for variety.
And on the subject of new things, I mean, this season we got 2 new characters with Chester and Kayla, and we have 2 now series regulars coming into season 7. How was your experience sort of coming into a show that's sort of 6 seasons in and sort of finding your way through it?
I was intimidated for sure. I knew these guys were a family and I was nervous. I think it was Danny was one of the first people that made me feel so welcome. We were shooting a scene and it was really hot, and she just took me under her wing instantly. And I remember she was like, "Do you want to take a picture?" And I was like, "Do I want to take a picture with you?" Yes. And then I got the courage to like ask other people to take pictures because she had like made me feel so welcome instantly. So that transition was really lovely for me.
I was a big fan. I am a big fan of the show, and I watched the show. The Flash is my little sister's favorite superhero. So we watched the show since season 1. So I came in already like understanding what the show was about, like what the show's tone was, stuff like that. For me, it was more so just meeting everybody and getting into the same vibe that everybody else, because, you know, everybody had 5-6 years to really learn about each other and learn how everybody works together. And, you know, I was just trying to find my spot and my place without interrupting or changing too much.
And Brandon, I know in the past, Eric has talked about sort of how with Chester, he views sort of Chester, it's sort of like him, is sort of enthusiasm about science and all that. I'm curious, one, what conversations did you have with Eric about sort of crafting this performance as Chester? And 2, did you base any of it on Eric himself?
I remember the first day on set, I met Eric, and it's funny, the first episode 601, the first maybe the first maybe 3 or 4 days, I was pretty much just in a coma the entire time. So I was just laying on a bench or sitting at a table and stuff like that. And I remember him telling me, because I had the monologue coming up when I'm in my garage and I'm doing the stream. And I remember him just telling me, this guy's brain works faster than his mouth. He can't speak as quickly as he thinks. So every time he has a thought, he's going to another place, and then he has another thought, and he's excited about all the thoughts that he's having. So those are like that. I remember that specifically because I remember going into it being like, I don't know how much energy this guy's supposed to have. He's written with a lot of energy. He's written to be really zany and really crazy and really fun, but I don't know how big I'm allowed to go and blah, 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 blah. So Eric really showed me that, you know, you can go as big as you want to go. If it's too much, they'll take it down, that sort of thing.
I'll never forget the first time I saw Brandon work. Danielle was directing, so I came by set to see how it was going. And they were shooting the montage of like, you had just woken up and you were like, exploring Star Labs and checking all the equipment. Yeah. And I don't think I'd even met you yet. I was looking at you on the monitor.
Yeah, that was the first day we met,
Yeah, I mean, I think I came in and said something to you because I said to Danielle, like, this dude is incredible. Like, you were doing things that, you know, I wish I could get to do on the show, and I certainly wouldn't be able to do them the way that you can do them. So I was super impressed.
It was so fun. I mean, I remember that scene too, that sequence. I had such a good time, and I feel like we shot a lot more than ultimately ended up in the episode. But we were just having such a good time with it. But I also remember in 601, we saw your monologue. I think it was certainly before I'd had any scenes with you. And I feel like we watched your monologue and we all looked at each other and we're like, oh, he's great. Like, so we really came into the show with a lot of love.
Hey, what up, party people? Welcome to a world where all are welcome and anything, including the scientifically impossible, can and probably will happen. I'm your boy, Chicka Chester, world with knowledge from the bleeding edge of physics and beyond.
Kayla, with Allegra, I'm curious, coming into the show, I mean, how did you sort of connect with your character and in what ways did you relate to her?
The way I look at Allegra is that she just wants to fit in and belong somewhere. And I just super resonate with that. Family is really important to me. My friendships are really important to me. And belonging to something or having a community is just really important to me. So that was one of the first things that I connected with Allegra. She just wants a family and she wants to belong, and she hasn't had that previously. And so I just super resonate with her on that level.
For you,
Good
I
news,
guess
you're in the Flash family now.
Yeah. Thanks.
I mean, with the character, did you feel like you sort of really clicked in with her immediately, sort of on day one, or was there sort of a process for you to sort of figure your way through that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I learned more about her with every episode. I also, my first episode, I didn't know if there was going to be more episodes for me. And so that was all I had. And so I just really gave that my everything. And in that first episode, you learn a little bit about her history and a criminal background. And so that I didn't necessarily immediately get on with, but as I've, done more episodes, I've learned a lot more about her and loved her more and connected with her more.
Danielle, I mean, we just talked about your directorial debut, and I was curious, I feel like you've spoken a lot about how sort of acting has informed you as a director. I'm curious, after directing 2 episodes of the show, how has that sort of formed how you approach your role as an actor on the show, both as Caitlin and Frost?
I feel like part of the reason I love directing so much is because I've always tried to, be on set with my eyes wide open and look at all the different departments and learn as much as I can. So I definitely feel like it's informed. You're right. I do feel like the directing's informed my acting, but hopefully my acting informed my directing too. All, those years of experience and spending time on set. I love it. I'm excited to get back to work too.
And this season 6, was all about sort of Frost finding herself or finding a way to craft a life for herself. For you, what was it like to explore that journey with this character in season 6?
It was great. It was really fun to get to explore Killer Frost as a real character and a person and a human being with feelings and emotions, and not just necessarily this person who, pops up for a fight and then disappears and we don't really know her perspective on things. So it was really fun to get to dig in and flesh that out and have a little bit of fun with it. Like Candace was saying earlier, it's nice to have the variety after, 6 seasons and we're rapidly approaching 150 episodes.
For you, what do you think is sort of the next step for Frost in her sort of development?
I'm excited because it sounds like Killer Frost is going to go on a date soon, and I'm really excited to see that.
That might happen.
Do we think she has the best table manners? Probably not.
And Danny, again on the subject of change, this season for Cecile, she sort of decides to become a meta attorney for metahumans. For you, what has it been like to see this character evolve from when she was initially introduced to where she is now?
She went from being a regular person to having powers, but then those powers evolving, and they continue to evolve every season. So it's fun for me because every time I get to explore where it's going. And since I joined the show a couple seasons after it started, I always sort of felt like coming into it, my job was to figure out how I can be whatever puzzle piece is missing. Everyone else on the show's already so amazing, and their characters are so well fleshed out that I'm always trying to figure out where Cecile fits and where she can support the team and where she can support the show in its entirety. So it's a blast for me because I got to be a regular person, and I got to be a telepath, and then I got to be an empath, and then now I am a meta defense attorney. And then from what I understand, there's going to be some shifts next season too.
In shooting those scenes where her empath powers sort of come into play, how do you sort of go through that as the actor? Do you sort of imagine the sound we eventually hear on TV, or how do you?
It was a little hard to kind of wrap my head around in the beginning. I think it's hard for anyone to play powers, whether they're coming out of their hands or they're inside or somewhere in the middle. I think just as an actor, you have to go back to basics and believe where you're at and completely invest in your character's reality. And that's her reality. And so I try to really just believe what's on the page and what's written for me and play it exactly that way.
Is there something that you're hoping to do that you haven't gotten a chance to do on the show yet?
I have always, this is not news to anybody, Eric will not be surprised, I have wanted Cecile to be bad, just a little bit bad, forever. So just a little bit, because she's so good. I would have a lot of fun playing bad Cecile. I've offered many times to switch powers with Killer Frost just for an episode, but unfortunately, Eric does not believe me to be as good of a writer as I am an actor. So he continues to not buy my pitches.
But I listen. I am listening. Listening. I feel you. You never know. You never know.
And Carlos, this season 5 ended with him giving up his powers, and this season was very much about him figuring out what his role on the team was without those powers. After 5 seasons of Cisco's vibe, what was it like for you to explore this Cisco in a new place like this?
I don't think he regrets that decision, but I think it definitely haunts him. I'm actually feeling a lot like Cisco these days because I'll have a fan that I'll see on the street or whatever. They'll be like, yo, but vibe though, come on. And I have to imagine Cisco's probably feeling very similarly. I know, okay? But, it was such a big decision for him that I feel like the ripple effect, the repercussions for that in terms of, Cisco's sense of identity, we're still seeing those waves, and we'll continue to see those waves into season 7. So I'm just, riding the wave.
The beginning of season 6 actually had an episode called Kiss Kiss Breach Breach, which is Cisco-centric, and included on the DVD set coming out in August is a black and white version of that episode, and we have a clip from that episode. So let's check it out.
You murdered my daughter! No, I didn't do it! I swear! Liar!
Believe me! Leave him alone!
Where did you get that?
In Cisco's workshop. I don't know how it got there.
I do. He just murdered my daughter with it.
No, Preacher, I don't care what you think you saw, okay? You know Cisco. You know how much he cared about Gypsy. There's got to be another explanation.
Babe, please.
No, what about doppelgangers?
She's right.
There's thousands of other versions of me out there.
Yeah, and they're all pencil pushers. None of them are scientists like you. You had motive, just enough guts to do this.
Preacher, I swear, I don't know how this is possible.
Unless it breeds psychosis.
Camilla, what time did you find me sleepwalking the other night?
I don't know. Maybe 4 a.m.?
Oh! You're guilty! But you're not in your right mind. I didn't just lose a daughter today. I lost a son. Because I still respect the man you were. Now, I'm gonna give you an hour to get all your affairs in order and then turn yourself in, or I will end you.
Wow, right?
Pretty cool,
That was so
huh?
exciting.
Very cool.
Eric, what was it? What went us into release a black and white version of this episode?
Well, it's a film noir story, and I always wanted it to be black and white. What was really great in making the episode with the director Manoj Huda, he had an idea, because he knew I wanted it to be in black and white. He said, well, why don't we do the vibes in black and white? And it's something that Carlos had always talked about, is how you could do vibes differently and how unique that could be as a directorial challenge. And Carlos was saying how even way back in season 1, that was something they needed to figure out. Well, when Manoj did that, we cut it into the episode. It dawned on me, oh, we can have a special edition of this that achieves this vision of an entire film noir story, all in black and white. Danny Trejo in black and white. How awesome is that?
Carlos, for you, I mean, that again, the episode was so Cisco-centric about him dealing with Gypsy's death. What was it like leading the A-plot?
So gratifying to my budding narcissism. You know, getting to work with Danny is always like such a pleasure. And also getting to like really sort of navigate the relationship with Camilla too. I felt like at that point, like, you know, the relationship was progressing and it needed to like, you know, reach a major crucible or something. And I think that episode definitely did that. And it was a perfect way to like sort of demonstrate how these two are compatible. So yeah, it was very gratifying.
And the last time we saw Sir Cisco in the season, he was heading off to Atlantis. I'm curious, in your mind, have you sort of thought about what Cisco does, what someone does in Atlantis when they visit?
I just like, you know, chatted up with the dolphins and stuff. Like definitely, you know, probably some, you know, Aquaman action in there somewhere. You know, I hope Cisco comes back from Atlantis soon, because Atlantis does not pay as well. So.
And on that note, we also have a sizzle reel for what's to come in season 7. When we last left off season 6, Eva McCulloch had gotten what she wanted, and she framed Sue. And the sizzle will sort of tease what's to come when the show returns. So let's check out that clip.
I've achieved my goal. This company is all mine. You lost your speed? You're not much of a threat, are you? You just stay out of my way, Flash.
Iris is my wife. I have to save her.
What are you? I am a product of your broken mind.
How much speed do you have left?
Enough for a few hours. I need your help to build an artificial speed force. That's how I can get my speed back.
I was an empath too, only I never held back. What did you do to me? Imagine what you'd become if you weren't so afraid.
This time, no one is coming to save you. Not your friends, not your husband. There's only 2 options in this place: survival or madness. Cannot be real. You lied.
Yeah, I lied.
Oh, frack.
There's a supersonic jet about to crash over the city.
And the Flash isn't fast enough to stop it.
Eva can move anywhere, through any mirror in the universe, in the blink of an eye. She's faster than I am, and somehow I'm supposed to stop her?
I have unfinished business and a whole world
liberate.
We need a plan.
We've all lost so much this year. Some things can't be taken. We still have our will to fight for those we love.
Keep watching. Keep trying to break me. Because I'm not afraid of the woman that I am today. But you are, Eva.
Team Flash needs as many hands on deck as possible. Well, now, Flash.
We go save Iris and our friends.
Get everybody back.
Eric, can you talk about what we're seeing there?
When we had the shutdown happen, as unfortunate as it was, we were on the last day of filming for what would have been the 20th episode of last season, which now will become partially the first episode of season 7. So we did have 85% of the footage that we were able to use. Plus, also, we knew where we were going already in season 7. So even though it's only footage really from one episode, pay attention to the way it's presented. It's actually huge spoilers all over the place.
And that sizzle had a lot of Iris in it, a lot of Iris in the Mirrorverse. Candace, I mean, can you sort of, in your mind, I guess, how do you think her time in the Mirrorverse has sort of affected her?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see when she comes out, and I believe she will come out very soon when we pick up season 7. It'll be very interesting to see how she's been affected by being kind of stuck in this maddening world with this super villain. Obviously, Team Flash and Barry were working to get her. It took a while. I don't know if there's some resentment there or what's going on, or if there's even some like residual mental effect of being in that mirror world and seeing things backwards and how that affects her. I have no idea. That's kind of up to Eric.
And Danny, the sizzle also showed that there's more to come in the way of Cecile's powers. What can you share about that?
I think that it's fair to say Cecile's powers up until this point have been passive. And I think going forward, we're going to see them evolving into something that's more active. We're going to find Cecile exploring that and maybe struggling with it a little bit and finding her way with it. And possibly getting herself into some trouble in the meantime.
Definitely.
Chester becomes even more integral to Team Flash as sort of Team Flash sort of coming back together. What can you say about Chester's sort of the role that Chester will sort of fill on Team Flash?
What Chester's real superpower is his optimism.
Nash currently has sort of all of the Welleses from the old multiverse in his mind. I guess in season 7, how will the way in which Wells is used change for the show?
Radically, but super fun, and you're not going to see it coming. I love the Allegra and Nash Wells relationship so much. It was one of the joys when the dailies would come back and I would see these two wonderful actors kind of getting to know each other from early on, and then exorcism of Nash Wells, learning why they kind of have this relationship. So there'll be more of that.
Preview showed that sort of Barry is sort of working as hard as he can to get his powers back, get his speed back. I mean, for you, do you think Barry has enjoyed any part of not having his speed at this point, or do you think he really does really misses it, I guess?
Yeah, no, I think he really just misses it. I don't think, especially with Iris being trapped in the Mirrorverse at the moment, and then Eva being a factor, I don't think any part of him has been like, well, I guess I'll just enjoy this downtime while I can. I think he genuinely not just wants his powers back, but he feels that he needs them back. And he's also started to feel that they define him, and what is he without them? Yeah, I mean, it's taking a toll on him, just mentally.
Big bads for season 7. Eric, what can you tease about who these new, or who, I guess, at least the first one, who they will be, and what and how they will sort of challenge Team Flash in a new way?
Wow, I don't like spoilers. Let's just say there was a certain speedster who wore a white costume whose clones kept showing up. And it really, Team Flash had to deal with that, but we never caught the real guy or girl, right? Who knows? Let's just say we might find out that mystery this season.
Spoilers, I mean, without spoiling, I guess for you, what makes Godspeed an interesting villain for you? Just on, I guess, without getting into sort of what the show can do with it, but just like coming to the season, what was it about Godspeed? You're like, oh, there's something there for that.
Two things. One, the current run of the comics that Joshua is writing is terrific. And I want to make sure that new fans, especially new young fans who are reading the comic book right now, are welcomed to the show. So it's not just Silver Age villains and Bronze Age villains. There might be a young girl or a young boy who is reading those Flash comics right now and going, where's my villain, my generation's villain?
Who is this guy anyway?
An old family friend. His name's Godspeed, and he's from the future.
I want that same experience for a young person now to go, well, my villain is Godspeed. He's only 8 years, he's only been around for 5 or 8 years or so. So bringing him in is very important to me to expand the audience. That's number one. Two, Godspeed, unlike, say, Reverse Flash, has no emotional connection, supposedly, right, to the Flash. So the question is, why is Godspeed angry at the Flash? We got to keep the show fresh. We've got more to say.
In light of everything that's happened recently, we have two characters on the show, Barry and Joe, who work for the police department. And have you sort of thought about how you're going to approach their jobs in this coming season, and maybe change or maybe not?
The world right now is on fire. We have to look at what's around us. It definitely informs specifically Joe's story this season, but in a good way and in a positive way, because we need to be socially responsible as artists. Yes, I love comic books and the Flash, but I'm a person first. We have to be people first and work together to make the world a better place. I believe that. That's where those changes are coming from. So yeah, you'll notice some changes, definitely.
And with that, let's move on to some fan questions.
Hi, I'm Sammy, and this is my question. How is Nash Wells going to adjust with all of the new Harrisons in his mind?
What's it like having a million Wells in your head? You're going to find out real fast.
For Grant, which from all over the world wanted to know this, when will we get to see the Flash in the iconic gold boots?
Well, this might be a question for me, but really it's for Eric, because I don't know if this is saying too much, but if it were up to me, it would have been like 2 seasons ago. So I think Eric's going to have to answer this one.
Yeah, well, Grant and I have talked extensively about this. For the record, I love gold boots too, right? I just think they must be earned, right? So it's like, when's the right time to unleash them? I think a story is the best way to unleash them. So I'm determined to get you your gold boots, Grant. I promise. I just can't say when, but it will happen. I promise.
Christmas is always a good time to give gifts.
And from South Africa, this is a two-part question. First, as the leader of Team Citizen, how will we see Team Citizen evolve once the show returns?
I don't know. That's more of a question for Eric.
Yes, you'll see much more of Team Citizen investigating a very specific thing that I can't talk about right now because I feel terrible, but it's true. It's true. But they've got a lot of fallout because the leader of Team Citizen is in the Mirrorverse. So what's been going on with Team Citizen while she's been gone? I think they need to start there.
And the second part of that question, can we expect to see more of the mentorship relationship between Iris and Allegra in more of the Team Citizen office?
I hope so. I would expect so. I think if we're going to be spending a lot of work time together, I think it's only natural for two women to have an evolving relationship. And I think we've already kind of seen that grow in season 6. And I hope there's more of that in season 7. I think it's a great opportunity for a really beautiful female relationship and friendship.
What could need our attention more than this? Your cousin was a victim, Allegra, and now some secret organization is using her. I mean, how many others are they using?
We need to help them. Right. I mean, no one wants to find out what happened to Esperanza more than me, but is this really what matters the most to you right now?
Yeah. Now, come on, get your stuff. Camilla is going to see if she can recover any other photos. You and I have a stakeout date.
You're the boss.
Yeah, I echo that. I echo that. I'm really looking forward to that. And I think it's got to happen, right? Especially as we've expanded Candace's story, Iris's story. I think this is the first time Iris has ever had someone come under her, right? So this is a really good opportunity for lots of new fun stuff.
Last season, we got to see some romantic moments between Barry and Iris, even though it was Mirror Iris. Will we get to see more of that with the real Iris this season? And this question comes from Jamaica.
Iris will be getting out of the Mirrorverse shortly after we return with season 7. So regardless of what exactly that's going to entail, we're going to see them together a lot more next year than we did last year.
They will find their way back to each other eventually. A lot of the romance and the chemistry between Grant and I has always been something even deeper than that. It's the way we look at each other and the way the characters are written.
And Grant, this one's for you. We have some amazing Flash fan art and cosplay to show you.
Okay, guys, right now I'm looking at a cosplay fan art of Vladimir Morisot. I hope I'm saying that right. He's from California. And this thing is epic. Honestly, he's got a better superhero pose than I think I've ever had for a Flash photo shoot. So I could learn a thing or two from Vladimir, I think. All right, I love this one by Shannon Beltran from the UK. It's me and my bud Wally, Keenan Lonsdale. I love this moment when we were reunited and we did our fist bump. I think it was scripted as a fist bump, which we were happy to do, but then we were like, I'm hugging Keenan. This is awesome. Good job, Shannon. Hamlet Roman from Colombia. Awesome image of Barry, myself as Barry, running up a building, and the season 2 suit, I believe, season 2, season 3. This thing is really cool. God, you guys are talented.
Well, that'll do it for us today. Thank you all for joining me for this panel. I had a really good time. For everyone watching, please make sure you tune into The Flash when it returns in 2021. And again, remember that The Flash, the complete 6th season, is available now on digital and comes out on Blu-ray and DVD on August 25th.